that consistency, which is really taking a lot of these teams further. Inco, terrified of Nova Rep Neuer. Now they drop over towards that trash loot, over towards the western side of prison, and the circle will head hard down towards the southwest, encompassing a little bit of Sosnovka so far here. Jackie keeping just that in slightly. Gladiators go for themselves some vehicles down towards that south side. Ducksand up towards that northern edge in Ferry Pier, and Team Queso trying to hit a little bit further towards that western edge.
Having a quick look to see if there was any room for some early fights, as we've already seen a couple of them today. Moments where teams know you do have to run a couple of risks. You've got to roll the dice a little bit to guarantee yourself some of those elimination points. But at least for now, it's looking relatively clean in terms of the early infighting. Nothing too obscene. Potential maybe for the Mad Bulls with the way that they're rotating around could run into phase. But if that kicks off, we'll update you with it. Zone-wise, fair amount of water as well, so landmass going to be worth its weight in gold. Definitely want to try and get your rotates in a little bit earlier and see how well you can set up for things. Enigma Galaxy as well. I mean, at least fair play, you know, you get that first chicken dinner in, you start it off a bit better, you go from dead last in the lobby to moving up towards 12th, and that's already a pretty good shift. But it's just the fact that you really have to break down the wall of this mid portion all the way up from 12th to 5th place. It's going to be so much more of a harder graft, right? You're basically looking at like 25 points minimum to even clear a majority of these teams. Even then, that's not going to put you in the top 5. And you're thinking constantly, as quick as we can gain points, everyone else can be at the same rate as well. So some targeted fights potentially going to need to be forced out from them. We'll see how they opt to approach it and how well they can play on these free Erangals as well. Ooh, hello.
Rock's a bit slippy, apparently. That Moss coming back to bite these teams from BTR on that last game. For CG Evo, sorry. But interesting, though. I mean, you bring a good point in terms of like the profit game as well, in terms of where Enigma Galaxy have to go, whilst also you're imagining some of these teams at the top side will continue to gain those points. It is a pipe dream, and it feels weird having to talk about it with the team being in 12th place. But yeah, for any of these teams down towards the bottom, clearing those points towards that top side is a possibility, right? With enough chicken dinners. It's just difficult doing it in this kind of lobby where getting those consistent chicken dinners on board with high elimination games is really tough, where there are so many great squads in this lobby. The reason that we didn't see such a massive shake-up in the standings after that last game in terms of the top side of the lobby is because a lot of teams towards the bottom of the leaderboards won out in that last match and won out big, and it was some more of our middling teams were able to get some points on board. So for Team Queso, for Prestige Evos, for FaZe, they did not move too much in that last match. Udo Alliance and IHC take up that mantle where DX and BTR were holding in before. So things haven't changed too much in terms of the goal to get towards that 5th place, which is the big curious thing.
我是湖南经视主持人高旭。
Is Team Queso just going to continue to let this slip? Is Udo Alliance and IHC, some of our more consistent teams, going to allow themselves to just keep losing out on points? And I just don't think that's the case. IHC already cracked the code in terms of mechanical skill yesterday, which is the tough part of the game. Now they just need to get the placements on board, which seems like after that last Sandhawk, doesn't seem to be too much of a big deal. Looking at the map though, Mad Bull sending center very, very early. Inco extremely close to Ducksand in Ferry Pier. Potentially a fight between them popping off fairly shortly. And Team Queso, our 3rd place team that was on fire yesterday, down towards Primorsk.
You know, I'm hoping as well, maybe there is a little bit more room today for the stock to rise for Reject Tokyo. Although I feel like maybe the difference to that is that they needed to, you know, really squeeze as much as they could out of that opening Sandhawk. And it looked good for them with the ridge side control that they had when they were taking pot shots down onto Enigma. That had me thinking, yeah, maybe today's the day. Maybe this is where they do start to spread their legs a little bit and actually have a good start. Thinking, yeah, maybe today's like they are only, you know, a couple of light adjustments away from actually getting have a good start. Thinking, yeah, it feels like they are only, you know, a couple of light adjustments away from actually have a big start. It feels like they are only, you know, a couple of light adjustments away from actually have a big start. Journey for them, but it would be a sick storyline if they were able to command back some of that respect and get that momentum in their camp. For now, though, we'll look at the facts. All of our teams on the move, cruising in towards the new zone and trying to get themselves ahead of the pack a little bit earlier. The only two squads that are really deviating from this are going to be IHC, who is still down, looting around and taking their time before they start to course correct, and Udo Alliance that are also taking a bit of a slower approach to this. They can afford to as well. Both of these sides obviously in a good spot. You're in the safety net at the minute of the top 5, both tied with 53 points as well. So it'll be interesting, the fact that they're mirroring each other's late rotates. We'll see how they play if they come head to head on the edge.
Yeah, for you to Alliance, it sort of makes sense considering like they're a very good edge team. So if they come in late, they're a comfortable team to play that late game, right? When you're on the outside, you're taking some fights going in, you're slowly working up your control. For IHC, on the other hand, Nova Apnoia is just so full of loot a lot of times that you just want to get the massive amount of utility that's provided in that area. Level 3 vets available, huge amount of ammo count to fight your way through those later parts of the game. And we've been able to make a nice rotation on this eastern side, swing up towards the north and maybe push in through like Pachinki. That's not a bad idea for IHC at all. We'll see what they get up to off the back of that one, because it doesn't look like they're going to go for an eastern bridge push here with the way they're posturing on this side. Maybe just trying to stay out the blue for as long as possible before they inevitably have to head into it and wait for this next circle to pop first. So interesting stuff from IHC. For Udo Alliance, definitely one of these plays that was expected for them. With this circle though, I'd fully expect IHC to deviate over towards that eastern side now, as opposed to pushing through the bridge on the western edge, because that is a dangerous push to make. But for FaZe, who's already claimed control over the majority of Quarry, this is great news for them. I say that, but I said that last game, Jackie, and they threw it away.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. It felt like, especially in the last game, you know, FaZe kind of did sort of tunnel vision where from the front, they had a great lineup. You know, they were sort of just shooting fish in a barrel. But from the back, they were so exposed. They were right in the open. Everyone saw them and wanted a piece of the pie. And they were just taking pot shots at FaZe for free. And there was no easy way for them to defend. So you'd hope here it can be a little bit cleaner. We've seen just how well FaZe play when they're activated, when they're coming out swinging, especially towards the end of the day. It feels like they just get such an upwards draft. They have the Miramar buff that is always lying in the back pocket as well. So just having some consistently clean games here on the majority of the battlegrounds we're going to be seeing with the back-to-back Erangels is probably the dream scenario for them. Keep it clean, keep your heads above water. You've always got your safety net, comfort towards the end of the day with those Miramars. Ooh, a bit of Gladiators on a move here as well, as they barely bypass their way through Duxan and co, just scouting out and starting to see what they can find. Obviously, very unlucky Gladiators going into Sandhawk. Just basically got picked off one by one and had no way of playing around each other. There was no room for trades whatsoever, and it felt incredibly fragmented. As we were saying, even in that game, though, you know, it feels like Gladiators basically chalked up to be left in the lower side of standings with how these games have been going. So for them, their grand journey not really being the big focal point, but just what they can do to either potentially ruin other teams' runs or be the knock-on effect for some squads to move through is the more interesting storyline there. Here they engage on the Rook, take a couple of shots, but nothing gained, nothing lost just yet.
Sara, though, will pick up Defo as he tries to make his way away from this engagement. You can see Reject a little bit further up the line here. They're towards the northern warehouses. Duello will finish off their fault there with the help of Sara. So Reject accrue themselves another elimination point. Rami goes down as well, the Tulika, as they send away as fast as possible. So for Rook, this is going very badly for them at the start of the day. Everyone's getting pitched in. Olio looks over towards BTR as they're attempting to get in on that eastern side. IHC very close by too, so could hear this engagement, potentially try and get in, but BTR's rotates just not looking as strong today. Luckily, able to take down the frontline member of Olio. Now, Udo Alliance, a little bit of a tougher spot for BTR, though. The vehicle's not really quite here at the moment. So we'll have to get back on this bike, move further in as the circle keeps shifting over towards this western edge. Mad Bulls have a little bit of a compound to play around with on this eastern side towards the fielded area. Looks pretty decent for them. See what they can get done with it. But it's Enigma Galaxy, once again, surprising. Decent rotate made on this southern edge. Can play from this.
And the basics have looked better from them, which does really bode well. You know, if you can at least play the basics cleanly, you set yourself up to have a little bit more stock when it comes to the harder plays. So Gladiators here eating some damage from the backline. That'll be IHC. And IHC probably actually baited in by this one, thinking, you know what, if Gladiators are there, we're hitting some shots onto them. Maybe this is a side that we can squeeze the 3 points out of, and they might want to engage. They've jumped in the vehicle at least for the rotate if they want to swoop in on it. Bit of damage back onto Godless, as there's a few snipe shots going out from Matic with the Mini 14. Pushes right here as well, just off in the distance, keeping his belly down on the ground. And he's just going to be opening his ears up to listen about where all these audio cues are coming from, how they're playing it, and assessing if potentially he's going to be pushed or if he needs to go in for a fight to maybe get some points from it if there's an opportunity to do so. So slow and steady wins the race on this one. Gladiators finding their opportunity to exit stage left, do jump into vehicles and go for the quick rotate as the bullets was on by.
Yeah, it's pretty grim rotate for basically 3 teams here, but IHC, Reject, as well as Gladiators. Getting through Ferry Pier is always a tough time. There's a lot of weird sight lines that can open up as you cross through this area, so you'll be really careful with how you maneuver your way in. Prestige Evos do find Wide Yo on the rotate. Will look to flush him off here. The team's not ready to just give him up yet, though, as we do see Neos drop out the back of the vehicle. Zipian, this is what we're talking about. Kitsune goes down to that angle and will get flushed out too off the back of it. It's a tough rotate to make, and Duxan's doing a great job of holding on. They're on the northern edge of Ferry Pier, currently holding towards that tree line where you got sight lines looking down in towards Ferry Pier itself, with Zipian holding that front line over towards the western edge of Ferry Pier. Shaking up towards the center, though. BTR made a really quick rotate over towards the northern edge of the ridge, looking down over towards west side of Quarry. They do take a knock here, though, to break things up, with IHC making the same rotate, just following them in. This team is so confident in their gun skill and their gunfights. They're happy just to follow a rotate in and try and beat the team that made it to a spot before them.
You might get beat up, though, if you don't land just directly, as this isn't going to be an easy fight for any of these squads. Everyone on top of each other right now. Nades going over everyone's heads. Quick smoke plays coming up from BTR here as Lepar wants to at least block off some of the lines of sight, realizing how exposed they are in the dead center. Looks like IHC also landing a nice nade on that one. So Godless and Co, after having to roam on into this, looking to see if they can clean up nicely. They've got a lot of nades to work with. Two players in the vehicle as well, with Alex and Godless now diving out. The nades going to land close to their feet. That one actually chunky, blows them away. BTR, nade's going to land this one feet. BTR and completely shut down.
Pretty cruel timing on the nade as well, because I think they all pulled the pin on that one. They cooked it perfectly to send directly over the top side to the backline of IHC, but then in that moment they all just send into one singular spot, and those nades can just all be thrown at once. So when you're in a close area like that where the nades are all prepped and ready to go, instant death coming through for IHC. So 0 points, zero eliminations as well on this game for IHC. 53 points, which allows BTR to maybe reclaim their spot towards that top 5 and 6th place. 4 eliminations found from IHC themselves, but not what you wanted to see. Reject, though, dear me. Inco just gets the spray down. The rest of Reject coming in quick, but again, this sight line is open. If they get the smokes down quickly, potentially they get their teammates back up on their feet.
The percentage is there. But can they play it right? Can they reset the fight, get their teammates back up? Nades going on over BTR. Ooh, they've got the info from it as well. Superboy went for the close drive-by so he can get the read and knows what they're up to, knows what Reject are doing here. Look at the nade onto Sara as well. Banking off the tree. Splash damage not going to clean up. Matic, meanwhile, takes the bullet and Inco engage onto DX. This fight drawn out for so long. BTR just ping-ponging back and forth from the left and right, taking peeks onto Gladiators. Ooh, you got the move up from Meku. He's trying to get close towards the tree line, using the smoke to give him cover. Not quick enough, though, as Gen 4s will hit that one blank. And they're really manhandling them. BTR doing a great job of outplaying two teams at once here.
Yeah, just Tixie left off the live here. Will go down. BTR up to a strong count of eliminations now with, I think that makes 7 potentially. Just the 6 as one of those eliminations was stolen away. That was fortunate timing on the rotate from Gladiators to BTR, which gives time for Reject to get back up on their feet, but they're taking more and more nades here as even Duxan starts to get involved. This has been a horrid rotate for Reject where it's been team after team coming their way, and BTR comes in to maybe clean up the finishing remaining members. Duello realizes he's just got to send away, potentially get some placement points off the back of this match. Cinco on the sidelines even taking shots towards Duxan. This has been a brutal position on the map here, Jackie, for so many squads.
Yeah, this is basically getting renamed as a graveyard right now, Blank, with how many squads have just been absolutely battered here. It's been wild. This fight's been so sustained for such a long time as well. Everyone just looking to barely limp out of it by the end of this when the dust has settled. Zone's going to get even smaller as well, so everyone will be ushered closer. Ooh, BTR still going to be in the safety net, as they are at least playing within their boundaries. Know that now squads that are further down have to come towards them, so you can gatekeep. You could basically be the bouncer that denies entry to a lot of these other big name squads as well, FaZe being one of them. So tons of talent down that side, with BTR just sizing them up, waiting to see if they can strike onto them. Reject again having a nice bit of ground to play with in terms of the high ground at least. They might have an angle down here if they want to read onto this one. They know BTR were right near them as well, so probably not going to let their guard slip too much. Nigma, hold on, I mean, you're being pushed in. Mad Bull's at least in the close compound, running around looking for these fights. Nades are going over. BTR seem to have been hit from FaZe as well. So one man's down. Missed jump from Frozen. Doesn't get himself up on the roof. So they're still playing down in the muck right now. Oh, heavy hit onto Coops though. Good comeback there on the shot.
This is really bad news there for BTR on the side, getting shot out by FaZe. But again, Reject still taking more fire. They've gone through so much meds at this point in time, dipping into their fallen teammates' supply at this point, I imagine. Mad Bulls get up close. Freak goes down though. Lord very low. Mad Bulls want to get a little bit more done here. They had a strong position on that south side. Look to take down Nigma Galaxy now. Tulika's in. Nice spray. And there is a quick response from the rest of the squad as well, not allowing Tulika to fall here. Nade's going upstairs. It's all popping off. Coops on low HP. Can't finish off that final member. There's a 360 as he comes in. Doesn't quite find it. Luckily, Fleeka's there at the end. And that looked messy from the Mad Bulls. Down to just one last solo player. That should have been a lot easier than it was. Everyone's lining up to get rezzed up as they know the sightlines coming through the window are horrendous. In the meantime, Pasija Evos hot on pursuit of Brute Force.
Not a moment. Not a moment to stop and breathe for these teams. Mad Bulls, man, counting their blessings on that one. Resetting themselves and at least thinking forward now. Ooh, Brute Force, there's no going to be thinking today as you're done. Blue Zone takes you out of commission. Last man standing there on his Todd, finished off. They got the shots off onto BTR. They were looking like they were starting to spread their legs a little bit, start to move on up the hill as they want to get into a better position. They've taken a couple of shots from the hillside. That's Evos that are keeping the pressure on them. So no easy ones for FaZe. You really do have to scrap at every bit of ground you take, as there's just so many squads here. Mad Balls as well now, after resetting, looking to reply, potentially onto Papi and Co, as they're backstabbing. Papi Potro's right in close range with the DBS, swings wide onto the first. He's got backup as well from the rest of the squad, and it seems like Big Milo's going in to close the gap, jumped into the buggy. Meanwhile, they're going to be able to bounce their way through 2 members, make that free, as the squad is being demolished, and they all go down. Big Milo's the last to fall, as he's taken out by Ducksan. 2 Liquor though gets lit up by the zone. They're getting close blank, they're right in their face, but this one is not easy. You're so exposed from so many angles.
Mate, the fact that Fleek just flew through the vehicle, took down 2, I believe, and got an eliminate on the road kill as well. It's kind of incredible off the back of that. FaZe now still trying to deal with Procedure Evo, so keep sending nades in towards their location. It's an easily nadeable spot here on the side, the map. Redface still has 2 in the back pocket. Fleek sent in a couple of his own, but FaZe holding on, trying to weather this one out as much as possible here, but the nades blowing up in their face, leaving them blinded.
Blinded from the fights that are going on all around them. Ooh, nades through the smoke. Bit of a reset then. Quick adjustment from Mela. Mela that really has been such a star player, game in, game out. He has been the hype man for FaZe, commanding front and center on stage. Venturez unfortunately being knocked down. He'll be taken out as Misery connects onto him. Flick shot back and forth. Redface gonna go down quick. Mela lucky to be alive. Low HP, has the nade to play with, but his feet are exposed, and Misery will connect onto that. Takes down the size 12 shoes and looks to focus on Warman as well. Back up from the other side as Lynx is there to assist, and they're punishing them. FaZe are just being absolutely obliterated blank. Is there some sort of comeback to be had here?
Onzen's able to make it happen in the dire moments of that fight as well versus BTR. Little clutch up coming through from him. FaZe happy with the back of this game. 6 eliminations will do the trick. Mad Bull similarly trying to make it in on this south side, but they take another knock in the process. You can see Zerich trying to get into some semblance of a position, but rotated in from this south side of the map. You're just rotating directly into open area, and the best thing Mad Bulls could do here is just to try and get some more elimination points on the board. Speaking of eliminations though, Ducksan with a hefty 8 so far, really just going for some serious third parties all around the map at the moment. Onzen's barely any HP left remaining. Feeling a lot like the rest of the team on FaZe at the moment. Half dead right now. Frozen gets taken down by Junie, taking him up to a fat 9 eliminations here. And it's once again Junie who is pulling out the big numbers for this squad.
It's the way it goes. Whenever they need someone to show up most, Junie seems to be there. Don't know how he does it. He's got his wits about him. That spidey sense starts tingling, and he finds opportunities to hit crack shots to snatch away elim points. For FaZe, their days are numbered now. You're still at that top spot, and you're still at least gathering enough eliminations to keep your head afloat. Not going to go under the water yet, but you got to have cleaner games if you want to be untouchable, if you want it to be entirely guaranteed. For now, they'll at least just lurk it out, wait for the other squads to duke, battle, and see who's left when it comes up to a position where you can grab additional placement points. So we'll see if FaZe resuscitate the potential placements later on this one. Doesn't seem like it anymore. Quick pop-up, and I think that's Junie once again, who's instantly just found the long-distance shot and wiped FaZe off the face of the battleground. So they're gone for good, and we start to whittle down our squads a bit more here on Erangel.
Dear me, this is a prime opportunity now for the guys on Ducksan. Circle moves down towards the south side. The Ducks are all in a row towards the top side of the hill. Influence Rage, Judo Alliance, DX, Inco all have to move in. Inco looking for a good game here. They're kind of sat again in a compound as per usual. It's the Inco way. But realistically, what I'm looking at is Judo Alliance. Yeah, they've got 0 eliminations on the board, but again, it's another high placing from them. And that's from all the way in Mill to Power they move from. Influence Rage takes down Satar as he attempts to get out, but more nades that we know are so critical from the side of DX are pouring on over towards Judo Alliance, and they just cannot handle this one. Not grenade-proof clothing on today.
Shrapnel not going to be stopped. Ooh, Influence Rage might be stopped though on the close quarters connection as Lepar leaps out, cleaves round the corner and does enough damage onto the man in front of him. They're going to be shut down bit by bit as Lil Boy is snatched away by Inko for the extra points. Lepar goes running. Oh man, how has Duckstan been able to find so many distance frags from this hill? They're looking unbelievable with the spray control, Blank, and that's another one. They do not stop. Binny is putting everyone in a bin.
13 eliminations as well. They're squeezing out some serious value from this game, Jackie. Sort of crazy the way they're playing this one now. Look, if we look at the way this lines up, there's 4 players on Inko, 3 over towards DX. If they're able to get all of them at the end of this game, look at a 20 elimination match coming through from DX going forward. So that would drop them 30 points upwards in the tables. It would be the most unbelievable climb. Junie once again unleashing hell down towards DX.
All these shots just whizzing downhill and tagging them up. It's crazy how good Duckstan have been at just dealing damage from a distance in this game, and they're not stopping. Junie with some juicy frags today, Blank. That's another one, as he'll be able to knock another man. Squash, still standing. Looking for those tracing knocks, seeing if he can keep his set focus, but it's Junie that does most of the work. And DX are gone. So Duckstan versus Inko then into the final fight. Their gun skill is unbelievable right now, Blank. Surely this has got to be one for the South Korea Massive.
This is an incredible circle for the squad over on Duckstan. Finally, they have to move though, but it's Inko having to leave outside this compound. Then a Betche up close though with that Val. Can Inko win out this game? Keep themselves in contention for that top 5. Already done quite a good amount of work here with the placement points on board. But for Duckstan, getting a win here with the 4 eliminations, 19 elim game, the biggest we've ever seen here in the last chance so far, would be absolutely... It would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous.
The shenanigans of it. They'd be up there. Oh, the nade is crisp as well. It's not just the raw gun skill that's been big for Duckstan today. Seems like even the nades are on the money. And that one's huge. Blows him away onto his last legs now. Low HP on the rest of the players as they're being peppered. Rafa wasn't even visible. Man was in the smoke and he got smoked more literally, Blank, because he's gone for good now. All of them are being taken down one by one. It's just Squash that's left. He eats the molly as well, Blank. This has got to be it.
Zipian on the top side, looking down to the final player of Inko in Squash. This has been the craziest game from last chance so far. Zipian lobs a nade, but another will do it from QX. A massive elimination count keeps the boys' dreams alive from South Korea. That's going to send them soaring up the leaderboard.
Huge game there. Good resilience displayed from them. We said that one of the elements of Duckstan is that they seem to have good mental fortitude and a complete reset today. And they're ecstatic, Blank. It's wonderful to see them celebrating.
I mean, you just look at where they were before this game, right? The start of the day, 16th, start of this last game, 16th place, 15 points. That's going to send them to a very juicy 39 off the back of this one. What a game from them. That puts them right alongside with some of the players looking to overtake on that 5th place position. Junie looks back to rest, to sleep, to hold on for a bit longer, but mate, you can't sleep yet. There's still a lot more games to go, and the journey is not done for South Korea.
No, not at all. It's only just getting started. It's only just getting started. It definitely seems that there is a possibility we could be seeing a lot more from Duckstan here today. And what a wonderful story it'd be, man. It's so sick how many teams have just been going through these facelifts and really commanding respect when it feels like their days are numbered, when it feels like the chance of them getting enough points isn't going to happen. It's been really cool to see these storylines developing, Blank. And what a time to do it as well, right? It's last chance, it's last day, and we're getting closer and closer to there being a handful of games left. If you're going to start having blowout blinders like this, I'm living for it, Blank.
It is unbelievable, and it's only going to get less believable in the future. But there are only 3 lads that you can believe in. It's Jason Kaplan at the desk.
What is it about being last place today and getting a massive game? Max, you brought that up. Ducksan getting a huge game that honestly puts him within reach of potentially making top 5 today. We almost counted, Ducksan out. We pretty much counted the Galaxy out at the start of the day. But there is a world, there's a possibility if they continue like this that we could see the top 5 shake up even more than it already has today.
Yeah, we're getting at a point though, Jason, where this window of opportunity is slowly reducing. I think that last place teams are not going to be able to do insane comebacks anymore. Maybe Mad Bull gets a win after this, I don't know. But what an insane game from Ducksan, able to just clear the entire Southern Edge against Procedure Evos, against FaZe, against Mad Bulls, against Reject also a bit early in this match. They were just the kings of the South and able to then play that high ground position. The moment you eliminate Xavier, you can even play the lower side of that hill and just completely obliterate the entirety of Inco. What a match. 29 points right here. Is that a record for...
Yeah, is that our biggest game?
I think it is. Yeah.
I think so.
Woo.
That's cool, Max. But South Korea's back. It's time for Ducksan. Bow down to your South Korean overlords. Here we go. The recovery is on. I mean, look at them at the end of that game. They were celebrating as if they'd won the tournament. And it's not all done just yet here, but that might give them the kick up the rear that they need, because before this, they really needed it. That was massive.
From copium to hopium right now for Columbus.
Woohoo!
It's happening.
Yes!
I mean, it is possible, but the problem is we've not seen Ducksan have any sort of replicative results in this match before, in any of the prior matches so far within our survival stage. I mean, Junie putting up 1,000 damage. Klaris, please do the honors.
Ooh.
There we go.
There we go.
It's actually a lot more than I expected for 1,008 for just barely breaching the point. But Ducksan, you can see here, 10th place. They were at bottom of the table. They are at 44, and all it takes is 11 points to tie up Xavier and 5th. Like that is nutty. That is honestly ridiculous.
And it's important because we saw at one point, right, Jason, where top 5 teams had 0 chicken dinners. So getting those wins, if you're able to just get close to the top 5, that tiebreaker could also have an impact. So those wins are really, really important for those tiebreaker scenarios. But look at this massive highlight. You just have so many teams highlighted for a possible change here in the top 5. But
it should be more.
Technically it should be a lot more, like Rook, Ducksan, Inco, Reject, Mad Bulls can still catch up, of course, but